Hi guys, for this tutorial we'll be using this lacquer lining. Okay, the pink one that I bought is not going to be enough for what I want to use it to do, so I will be using this black one. I have my fabric. I have about 2.5 to 3 yards of this fabric. I have my zipper interfacing that I'll be using for the bust area so that it has a little bit of structure. The first pattern we'll be drafting is going to be the front pattern. This is my starting point and it will be serving as my shoulder line. From this shoulder line, I will come down by 8 inches for my chest line. My shoulder to bust point is 10 inches. My shoulder to under bust point is 13 inches and my shoulder to half length is 16 inches. Now I will be repeating these points at this part so that I have a straight line. So this is my chest line, this is my bust point, this is my under bust, and this is my waistline. Now for my neckline, I'm going to go in on my shoulder line with 4 inches, make a slant line all the way to my under bust point. So this is going to serve as my neckline. The next measurement I'll be placing is my shoulder divided by 2 minus 1. I'm subtracting 1 because this is a sleeveless dress, okay? So we don't want the sleeve to go off the shoulder. My back shoulder, which is 16, divided by 2 is 8, minus 1 is 7 inches. So I'll place it here and on my chest line as well, 7 inches. Join the points with a straight line, and this line will be serving as my armhole line. On this armhole line, I'm going to come down with 1 inch and I'll be making a slant line back to this neckline, to the tip of this neckline, like this. This is my shoulder slope. Now I will measure the rest of this line, which is about 7 inches. Find the midpoint. On this midpoint, I will come in by half an inch, and then I'll make a curve for my armhole curve. So my armhole curve is going to start from the tip of this shoulder slant here, in through the midpoint into the chest line. So this is my armhole curve. Next is to take out my dart. For my dart, I'll be placing my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 here. Okay, for me it's 3.5. For some people it can be 4, it can be 4.5, depending on how busty the person is. So here I'll be placing my nipple to nipple measurement on my waistline and on my bust point, and I'll be joining these points with a straight line. To take out my dart, I'll come down from my bust point. I'll come down with half an inch. Then on the both sides of this dart line, I'll come out with half an inch on both sides. Now I will make a slant line from this point to the waistline like this. So this is my dart, right? Next is to place my round measurements. My round measurements for my bust is my bust round divided by 4. I'll be placing it here, adding 1 inch seam allowance. My waist, I'll place my waist round divided by 4, which is 6.5. Replace this dart here, 1 inch dart, I will replace it. Then add 1 inch seam allowance as well. Now I will be joining these points. Next allowance I will be adding is on this waistline, and I'll be adding half inch allowance for my joining to the skirt part of this dress. Now, this top part has 2 parts. It has this part and this part. So when I'm cutting, I'll cut open from my under bust point like this. Watch where I'm cutting. So this is my front pieces. I'll be cutting 2 pieces of this, okay, and this is part A. And to this point I'll be adding 1/2 inch allowance to be able to join it to this band, and also to this part of the band I'll be cutting 1/2 inch allowance to be able to join it back together. I'll be cutting this on a fold here. I'll be cutting this on a fold, and before I start cutting, I will fold out this dart. So this is what I have. I'll be cutting it on a fold, and that is all for my front pieces. Now I'm going to go ahead and draft for the back piece. Okay, after drawing my shoulder line, which is my starting line, from this shoulder line I'm going to mark my shoulder to chest line at 8 inches, my shoulder to bust point at 10 inches, shoulder to underbust at 13 inches, and my shoulder to half length is 16 inches. I'll be repeating these points so that I have a straight line. The next measurement I'll be taking out at the back is my zipper allowance. So for my zipper allowance, I'll be going in by 1.5 inch, and I'll draw a straight line. So this is my zipper allowance. Let me label. This is my chest line, my bust point, my under bust, my waist line, my zipper allowance. Okay. The next measurement I'll be placing is my neckline. Every measurement that I'll be placing for these back pieces is going to start after this allowance point. Okay. So now I'll be placing my neck width, which is 4 inches. That's what I use for the front, so I'll use the same thing for the back. I went in by 4 inches on the neck, and from this neck point now I'm going to draw a slant line to the bust point. Remember, for the front pieces we drew a slant line to the under bust, but the neckline of the back is not as deep as that of the front, so that's why I'm stopping it at this bust point. Now the next thing I'll be placing is my back shoulder divided by 2 minus 1, which is 7 inches here, and I'll also place it on my chest line. So this is where I'll be fixing my armhole. This is my armhole line. Now I'll come down on this armhole line like 1 inch, and I will draw a slant line to the tip of my neckline so that I have my shoulder slant. Next, I'm going to measure the remaining line, which is about 7 inches. Find the midpoint. On this midpoint, I'll come in by 1/2 inch. Now placing my armhole, it's going to pass from the tip of this shoulder slant through this midpoint into my chest line. For the back, I will not be taking out any darts, so I'm just going to place my round measurements. For my round measurements, I have my bust round divided by 4, and here I'll place my waist round divided by 4. I'll be adding 1 inch seam allowance to both points. Now I will join these points together all the way to the armhole. Next thing I'm going to do before I start cutting is to adjust my zipper allowance. Because I don't want it to have a zipper bulge, I'm going to measure what I have here. Whatever I have for my zipper allowance, I'm going to divide it by 2. I used 1.5 for my zipper allowance, so divided by 2 is 0.75. That's 3/4 inch. So I'm going to make a slant line from this point to the tip of this point like this. Okay, this is to eliminate any zipper bulge from the back so that it's lying nicely. Now I will add my 1/2 inch allowance. Being that we have part A and part B for this back, I'm going to cut here open from the waist, from the underbust, and I will be adding 1/2 inch allowance to this point. So we have this going up and we have this like this. So this is what I have for the back pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out on my fabric. The next pieces I'll be cutting is for the gather pieces, which is the skirt pieces. For the full length of this dress, it's going to be 36 inches. So from our half length to our full length, we have 20 inches. So that's the full length minus the half length, that's 20 inches. The full length is 36 inches, the half length is 16 inches, so we have 20 inches in between. Because we have two steps of the gather, the shorter one is going to be 6 inches and the longer one is going to be 14 inches. So they are not going to be the same. The wideness of the shorter one is going to be at least 4 times the wideness of the longer one, and the wideness of the longer one is going to be about 3 to 3.5 times my hip round measurement. Here I'll be marking at 7 inches like this. Okay, so first I'll mark at 7 inches. That 1 inch I'm adding is for my 1/2 inch for joining allowance, 1/2 inch for hemming allowance. Now for this part, remember I said I'll be marking 14 inches, okay? So I'm going to mark at 15 inches, 1/2 inch to join it to the half length and 1/2 inch to join it to the gather that will be down here. So finally, I'll be using these pieces to cut the belt that I have on the shoulder, and for that I folded it into two like this, and I will fold it this way again, right? So I'm just going to cut a straight pieces and I'll divide it into two. Okay, now I have two pieces of this and it will be serving as the belt on the shoulder. So far in this video, we've been able to cut out the top pieces for the front and for the back, and also the band for the front and for the back. We did cut out these pieces for the belt that will be on the shoulder, and we cut out these two pieces, the long one and the short one, okay, for the gather that will be on the skirt parts of this dress. Okay, I don't want this video to be too long, so I'll be stopping this video here. If you're interested on how to join these pieces together to make a beautiful dress, subscribe to the channel. If you're yet to subscribe, turn on your post notification bell, and I'll be posting the video on how to sew this as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.